Okay, we're going to talk about how to compare two arrays. So, for example, we've got test and test2, and they're equal to arrays with the same elements inside of them. So I want to figure out what, I'm just going to do a console.log, test is equal to test2, and see what that prints out. And my thinking is that they're identical, right? We should be able to, it should be the same. So let's see what happens. So we create our test array. We create our test2 array, and we get false. They are not equal to each other. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, so what is going on here? Well, again, just like when we discussed copying an array, the variable test is a memory address, right? It's a pointer to this memory. And test2, we declare to be a new array, so it's a pointer to different memory. Right? So these are different memory addresses. So when we do this test for equality, they don't equal each other. They're pointing to different memory, right? They're different addresses. So it makes sense that they are not the same. If we quickly edited that, right? If I just said, hey, let's make this equal to test. Now what we should see is test is this. Test2 is assigned test. So hey, they're the same memory address. So now I expect this to be true, because they are the same address, right? Same place. Okay, but let's go back to what we had before. Oh dear, I guess I can't do undo. Okay, let test be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let test2 be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this didn't work, right, when we did the comparison. So what I'm going to suggest is a tool that we can use. Let me open up my console here for a second. Oh, fun. Okay, a tool that we can use is JavaScript has this built-in JSON object, and it has two methods that we primarily use, parse and stringify. And stringify is the one we want here. And basically what, so first of all, JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. So it's just a notation for representing objects or data structures. Arrays are technically objects. Everything in JavaScript, I think, is pretty much an object, but they behave in different ways. So anyway, the idea here is that we're going to take a data structure and we're going to get a string representation of it. So if I were to take an array like this and stringify it, it just simply converts it into a string. Again, it's because it's a simple array. It just looks like a basic array. Okay. I think if I had like letters in there, yeah, you'd see that the numbers have numbers, the letters have quotations. Anyway, it does a string version of the data structure. So when we compare, a neat little trick that we can do is I can say, well, I'm going to stringify test. Don't need this anymore. And I'm going to stringify test2. So now it converts test2, which is this array, into a string. It converts test, which is this array, into a string, and then it will compare the two strings. And since they have the same data in them, the strings should be equal to each other. Let's see if that works. All right, so we knew that comparing the two arrays doesn't work because they're different memory addresses. But if I stringify them and compare the strings, I get true. And maybe to help us see this, let's just do this. Let test str for string be json.stringify test. And let test2 string be assigned json.stringify test2. And then we should be able to see those when we visualize the execution. And then we can compare the test. Well, let's do, well, I don't even know this works already. Test string and test2 string. Oh yeah, let's try that. Just to help see what's going on. So test is that, test2 is that. Test string is now test converted into a string. Test2 string is test2 converted into a string. These are now equal to each other, so when they compare, we get true. So that's a way to test if two arrays are equal to each other based on their content, right, on the values in the array, is convert them into strings and then compare the strings. All right, that's it. If you ever have the need to compare two arrays, this is how you can do it. All right, hope that made sense. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.